Long before Captain John Smith arrived in the New World, the northern neck of Virginia, that peninsula of land bordered by the Potomac and Rappahannock rivers and Chesapeake Bay, was home to Indian tribes who lived along the banks of the region's rivers and created a network of trails that crisscrossed the land. With the establishment of an English colony at Jamestown, Europeans explored the northern neck. In 1648, the growing colony of Virginia designated this area as Northumberland County, where a number of settlers had already taken up residence. Among the early settlers were the Hughletts, a family that would play a significant role in the county's future. In 1679, the Northumberland court decided to move the seat of the county government to an area described as Mr. Hughlett's Indian Field, 4 acres of land in what is now Heathsville. Shortly thereafter, county officials ordered a courthouse to be built on the property and granted permission to build a tavern nearby. Exactly when a tavern was built on this site is not clear. The first recorded reference to a tavern on this site came in 1795, nearly a century later, when John Hughlett, the 4th generation of Northumberland Hughletts, filed his will. The will directed that if his son, a midshipman in the Revolutionary War, did not return, the rents of the ordinary should be used for the schooling and raising of his grandson. By 1812, the grandson was the proprietor of Hughlett's Tavern. Obviously, a tavern had been in operation prior to 1795, but how much earlier? Recent renovations have turned up tantalizing clues to a much earlier date, but no hard evidence. Archaeological evidence does, however, suggest that some type of building existed on the site prior to 1790. Some estimates say the building could date to the early 18th century, but the original building itself may not have survived to become part of the present structure. This model represents Hughlett's Tavern as it appears today. Now, let's take a closer look at the building's evolution. The earliest building on this site probably looked like this, a 1.5-story structure with fireplaces on either end. Not much is known about the building, when it was built, or what it was used for. The earliest portion of the present-day tavern was a 16 by 32-foot, 2-story building that stood 10 feet directly north and in line with the older building. It provided for dining and drinking on the first floor and a large communal sleeping quarters on the second floor. Between 1824 and 1834, during the ownership of Griffin Fouché, the tavern underwent a significant expansion. A large 2-story section was added to the original building, with a 2-story veranda providing guests with private outdoor space. Upstairs, the new addition provided private bedrooms instead of a large communal sleeping space suitable only for men. The next changes occurred in the 1890s, when owners John and Felicia Rice, who had changed the name of the establishment to Rice's Hotel, added a 24-foot extension to the north wall of the 1790s tavern. The first floor of the new space served as a bar and general store, with living space on the second floor. The Rice's Hotel and Store was a fashionable and prosperous property. The final addition came in the 1920s, when the owners added a 2-story apartment to the south end of the building to house a widowed family member, Charlotte Pusey, and her family. The family occupied what's known as the Pusey apartment until Charlotte remarried. Like many other businesses in the region, the hotel fell on hard times during the Great Depression. During and following World War II, it was divided into apartments to house young families. In fact, many weddings were held there. Later, it served as the Department of Motor Vehicles and was the polling place for the Heathsville precinct. The historic but decaying building was on the verge of being lost when, in 1990, Cecilia Fallon Rice deeded the property to the Northumberland County Historical Society, which established the Rice's Hotel Hughlett's Tavern Foundation. The foundation quickly attracted a dedicated corps of talented and energetic volunteers. Over a 10-year span, these volunteers worked to renovate the tavern, returning it to its past role as a social gathering spot with restaurant, pub, gift shop, and meeting space. The work of the volunteers goes on, and with each passing year, Rice's Hotel Hughlett Tavern has more to offer the community. In a region that takes pride in its rich and lengthy heritage, Rice's Hotel Hughlett Tavern stands as a link to history and a people's determination to honor and preserve it.